You want answers!
I want the truth!
You can't handle the truth!
Man. So you ready for this one?
No.
Ready for Shuck? We got it, man.
Okay. Just like I said before, here's the guy that is on the elevator, and the guy standing in the hallway,
Right.
does not look like Shuck that we saw on Ellen. Okay? If you look at the rear, that video of him on the elevator, okay, from behind.
All right.
See how big that dude is, and his haircut kind of different. And then you see him on Ellen.
Yeah.
I never once thought that he looked big on Ellen.
Right.
Okay? But he is a big guy on this video. On both of them.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, that guy's not that big. So I don't know. It's just me, or there are multiple faces of Campos. Hey, could there be multiple faces of Shuck?
Well, I would say probably in this case, because nothing makes sense.
Nothing does.
Nothing at all makes sense in this one.
Okay, and here's another thing. Here's another one. So, and I want you to show this too. So, another analogy here is kind of on the same thing. What I would like for you to do is show a spot on Ellen. Okay, we're talking game plan here, things like that. Okay, on Ellen, where Campos is speaking.
Yeah.
And Shuck is tapping.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
His back. Okay?
Yeah.
And
makes him feel better. Makes him feel much better.
And then, or however he does it, maybe he's rubbing his knee or something.
As I was walking down, I heard rapid fire. And at first I took cover. I felt a burning sensation. I went to go lift my pant leg up, and I saw the blood. That there was a female that came out, and I told her to go back inside. It wasn't safe. Mm-hmm. Shortly after, that's when Steven was approaching, and I told him to stay back and get cover. And that's when more rounds were dispersed.
Right. Wow. So, and really, he saved your life, and he saved also the woman that came out of the door to go into the hallway. So, I know, first of all, thank you so much for being here, and I know that you have had so many people asking for you to tell the story and to talk about this. And I understand your reluctance because you just want this to be over. So you're talking about it now, and then you're not going to talk about it again. And I don't blame you, because why relive this over and over again? But it's helpful for people to understand what a hero you are, because you, being shot in the leg, saved so many people's lives. And instead of you just getting out of there, you saved Steven's life, you saved that woman's life, and who knows how many other people. And so we just wanted to celebrate you. That's why you're here today, because we want to thank you for what you've done. Even after this happened, instead of going to the hospital, you stayed to help the police and give them all the information they needed to piece these things together. And also, what else did you want to mention?
I just want to mention all the people that assisted that night, whether it was Metro, the FBI, the community especially coming together to help everyone in need, the first responders, even the people that got called in to assist in the hospitals, and just everything puts pieces together on how everyone came together to help that night, even in the darkest hour.
Yes, there were a lot of people that showed up to help. All right, and Stephen?
Right.
However, so, and then show Sheriff Joe and the guy behind him that's not looking out in the crowd.
The FBI.
That's staring Sheriff Joe, the other FBI guy, staring Sheriff Joe down
Right.
as he's speaking some nonsense.
Yeah.
I'd like to see those,
It's scary.
both of those comparisons, because I keep going back to that, and I keep going back to the many faces of Campos, but we don't really think of many faces of Shuck. Well, that I don't think it's the same guy. Actually, I think it's another one of those guys that's supposed to look like him, and he's gone. Who knows? It was just part of the playbook. So I don't know, man. It's nothing makes sense. You think we come across something that actually makes a little bit of sense. I mean, the only thing we've ever what's crazy is the only thing we've ever came across that made sense was really the supervisor, the security supervisor.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And then, and he didn't even see Shuck.
No.
Okay. So it's interesting to me. Very interesting. So
That's
so
the
what
problem,
else
man.
and Shuck's got like an hour or so worth of
Yeah, it's a little.
testimony where everyone else had 5 minutes to 10 minutes.
Yeah. So they interviewed Shuck in room 118, which he was supposedly right in front of 117.
Exactly.
They interviewed him from 5:35 to 6:20.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, this interview is longer than any other interview that we've seen so far.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
And he didn't even get shot.
Campos, both the Camposes don't even equal that.
No, they don't. Yeah, they don't equal. So Campos, the guy that got shot, the nanny who was in the hallway,
Right.
ran into Campos,
Right.
evidently before he got shot. The occupant out of room 132, which is right next to 134.
Right.
All of these people
Yeah.
have probably like 10-minute interviews.
The strange Chinese man that never even had an interview.
You're right, and I showed that last video.
Yeah.
He was handcuffed, searched, then released.
What in the world?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's
All right.
crazy.
So we've got about 18 pages in this one to go. I mean, it's a lot of pages. I mean, this is the interview that won't end, basically.
Well, and it's a bunch of nothing. So
Well, for a
hopefully-
guy who he doesn't appear to even be there.
right, he doesn't appear
I mean-
to even be there. The police officer is making sure he was there
Right.
by his questioning.
Right.
You were at such and such, weren't you? Yes.
Yes, I was.
You weren't at such and such, weren't you?
No,
I was not. That's how
Too
it is.
easy. All right, so
That is.
we'll go through this one where we left off because last time I just couldn't take it anymore. We had to stop, so I apologize to everybody, but we filled that in with the Chinese guy or the Asian guy or so.
Right, right.
Which, again, showed his release, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
none of those people that were in the elevator room, right? They were all the first half of the occupants of floor 32, wing 100, who were
Right.
cleared out of their rooms. They were all put in that elevator area,
Right.
and then they were escorted to the service elevator to go down. That would have been a perfect time to take everybody's statement.
Oh, perfect time.
But none of them have a statement. None.
How many law enforcement agencies, okay, not a police officer, okay, how many, because there are different agencies there, how many law enforcement agencies does it take for one guy to say, do you think we ought to give these guys a little statement, or at least write it down.
Anybody got a piece of paper?
I got a pen right here. Anybody got a pen and a piece of paper? Sure. Let me write on the back of this.
Hey, sell me this pen.
First, do you need a pen?
Here's a piece of paper. Write your statement. I don't have a pen. Perfect. Buy my pen.
Buy my pen.
You know?
I don't get it. And I guarantee every one of those police officers probably had a pen on them.
Absolutely.
And probably a little notepad.
Well, you know what? They all had a phone, and on your phone you got a voice recorder.
Boom.
Just record it. What
I mean, it was easy. A lot of times what they do is they just say, write what you saw on this piece of paper and your information, and we'll get back with you or something. I mean, that's an easy one to do.
What's interesting,
or a voice recorder, like you said, yeah,
that we did not see and haven't heard of is anyone who ever talked to these guys that left the room and did some sort of questioning. Did you see anything? Did you see who'd you hear? Female, male,
right?
Just a treat. Where are we going? You know, I mean, what is it?
Yeah.
And oh, by the way, there's a lot of rooms that they cleared. Remember, that didn't have people in it, but actually had occupants staying there because you could see the beds messed up and they had luggage and all this stuff. So
right. All right. Very odd. Very odd.
So where we left off was the Shuck was saying full auto. Remember, he had he has an AR-15 and he knows what full auto sounds like.
Yes.
And so Shuck says, yeah, it was full auto, which is interesting because that's not how he presented it at the beginning. Remember?
Right.
So anyway, JP, the cop, says, who works for the same organization, obviously, as Hodson. So Patton
Correct.
and Hodson. All
right.
Officer Patton. Yeah. So anyway, so the officer questions Shuck and says, so from the center core. Now remember, it's been about a week, about 5 days now. It's 5 or 6 days. And the officers actually confirmed to Shuck that they're just guessing at how long the hallway is. Okay? I mean,
and it's been a week.
Yeah. And they're still asking them questions that they already know the answers to or should know the answers to.
Right.
So anyway, he says, so from the center core, and if you don't know, it's okay.
What the hell?
Now,
okay, let's move.
By the way, I heard that Shuck has a brother in the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department.
Interesting.
So if anybody out there knows that and can confirm it and send me information on it, I will post it and put your name on it.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very good.
Because that would actually make sense for this interview. Right?
Yes.
It would.
Yes.
Would clarify.
Yes.
So anyway, he says, if you don't know, it's okay. Approximately how long was the shooting going on? Now, it's day 6. It's October 6th. Who the hell cares how long it was going on? We know how long it was going on.
Right.
So anyway, he says, what's easier, I think, is to figure out if it would, how many volleys did you hear from the center core? Who cares?
Golly.
Shit, dude. I mean, you've asked the same stupid questions over and over and over. So Shuck says, obviously, that's hard to say. It could have been 4 or 5. Well, yeah, man, it could have been 8 or 10. Who knows? I mean, he got shot at, for God's sake. How many people? So he goes, I don't know, approximately around there, 4 or 5. I mean, that doesn't answer anything, right? So JP, the investigator, says, so when the shooting or when the volleys started, which is interesting that he says that. So when the shooting or when the volleys started, and you're describing the automatic gunfire going off, previously you said that there was like a quick break, like he wasn't reloading, but there was a break there and then he was firing again. Shuck says, was that when I was in the hallway? He's asking the cop, because he doesn't know what the cop's talking about, man. It's like, was that when? Cop says, yeah, correct. Shuck says yes. All right. I mean, what else is he going to say?
Hopefully there's some more meat to this thing. Or am I going to just hear you read a book?
Well, it's funny because what's interesting is everybody out there. I used to read Brian bedtime stories since he's my little brother, and obviously it hasn't changed since. Right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I sat on your lap while you read me bedtime stories. Yeah.
And they're still make-believe stories.
Still make-believe. Would you stop with those make-believe stories, okay? I'm done with them.
And when we were 5, those were more truthful stories than this.
I almost believed the three pigs. I almost believed that actually happened. I go, okay, go ahead.
All right.
But I don't believe this at all.
No.
Go ahead.
So JP, the officer, says, so when you were in the hallway, let's say it again, and you were describing that sound, what? The sound of yeah. What? Full auto? Yeah.
Oh, God.
He says, so there would be a volley, there would be a break, there would be a volley again. Was that the same thing happening when you were in the center core?
Gee, Christmas, come on, man. You have to speed read through this stuff
What
to
Shuck
get through
say?
it.
Yes.
Yes.
JP goes, okay. So it's almost the same volley, and there's a break. Shuck says,
Yes.
good on you, man. See, you're learning. I mean, literally, it's taken 50 years for me to read you stories for you to actually answer correctly. JP
and
says,
I haven't read ahead at all.
no. Yeah, obviously. So JP, the officer, says another volley, and Shuck says, and it was very, very short break. It wasn't like it would stop for 15 seconds. It would stop for 5 or 6 and then start again. This guy knows a lot of detail for somebody who was only in the hallway for a couple minutes. Okay.
Right.
All right. So JP says, okay. And at that point, the shooting was still happening when you're at the center core. Was the shooting still happening when you blank, your supervisor, told you to go lock out and he gets cut off. Shuck says, no, it had stopped at that time. So lock out the elevators, I guess. Right, because Shannon, his supervisor, told him to lock the elevator.
Right.
So it had stopped at that time. So literally, what Shuck's saying is he was in the center core for quite a long time because, I mean, remember, the cops showed up and they didn't hear anything.
Right.
Shuck says, no. So JP says, yeah, it had stopped at that point. And Shuck says, yeah, Metro was already up there, which we saw the video. JP says, and we didn't see Shuck. We saw the video, right? We didn't see Shuck. And JP says, okay, so you see Metro arrive on the elevators. Shuck says, yes. Well, that's
which places him there, but we didn't see him there.
Yeah, so the police didn't see him, but he saw the police.
Right.
Interesting. JP says, and when they arrived, they immediately went to the 200 and started kicking doors, and you're like, wait. Shuck says, no, they were kicking doors in 300. The 300 wing, right? JP says, oh, in the 300. Shuck says, yeah. Well, we've only seen cops in the 300 one time, okay? And they came in right before, the only cops that have come in the 300 wing came in right before the Chinese guy got handcuffed.
Right.
Okay. So JP says, JP says, oh, in the 300? Shuck says, yes. JP says, thank you. This is a polite interview, dude, for a massacre. So JP says, so they arrive, they go to 300, they're kicking doors, and you're like, guys, no, it's 100. Shuck says, yes. Well, we've got the body cams of the only cops that went through the 300 floor, or 300 wing of the 32nd floor. They weren't kicking doors. They just came up and walked that direction. Okay?
Right.
Stage left, shut down. I have someone with me. I can shut down the line front of it. Get somebody to a camera room and see what you get cameras watching that 29 and 32nd floor.
Will you try and watch the rear too?
Thank you.
Run, sir, run! Come on, run!
We have a foreman here. Where do you stand about the bottom?
Go up that hallway.
I got. Come here! Come on! Let's go! Let's go! We've got to move on. We should be in the last room.
Control for
We got to do all these
What's that?
Who's your last room?
Yeah. We got one right here. To your left, to your left, to your left. No, Master Key.
Search it!
Police. Police.
You want answers! I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!